First of all, I know grief is like a heaviness. I feel like it's a heaviness that starts like in your chest and in your head, and it's like gravity. It's a heaviness, and then it's like heaviness kind of spreading out and having to like let go. But it's kind of like, it's like a way to honor the changes of time, you know? It's like as time changes, we recognize that something precious is potentially going away from us or slipping away or dissolving. And it causes us to pause, and it causes us to slow down, and it causes us to be heavy and recognizing that passage is leaving. First of all, I think wonder is it's almost like after you've grieved something, the fact that the world can be new and continue. And I think, people say that after you cry, you can see better. Your eyesight's actually better. The muscles around your eyes relax. And it's kind of like the wonder is like the after the rain feeling. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and then the rain's cleared, and then sunlight comes, and everything's like shinier, and there's like more, and then you have this sort of like uplifted sort of curiosity and like joy about everything. It's like your whole skin is like photo paper, like everything that's happening is like imprinting on you. So you just get really sensitive, and then when you get sensitive and you see how like rarefied and textured everything is, then there's like just a feeling of like, yeah, this is amazing. I'm part of this organization, Golden Bridge, here in Boulder, that uses dance, movement, somatics, developmental maps, kind of spiritual education, creative and expressive arts to like create rites of passage experiences for people. Mm-hmm. Melissa Michaels is the generator and kind of lead teacher of that. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we do there is we dance through the different emotions. And at first, like, I really didn't get grief. Like, I just didn't get it. Like, I was like, no one I've had a good life, Like, I haven't experienced any like loss. Like, no one's died. No one's been taken from me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, what do I have to grieve about? And there were all these people that had really difficult experiences. And so I was like, what do I have to grieve about? And the first thing I noticed is I just started to feel a sense of sadness for other people. And then over the years, like, I don't know, I had all kinds of interesting things happen. Would have these images appear of these people. They're usually male figures, and they were rowing down it was like a river. And the river was like ages. It was like they were rowing down the river of time, and they were like the ferrymen of grief, basically, and of like sorrow, and like of all of humanity's like collected sorrow. The idea is that grief follows anger. And anger is when we're resisting, but also when we're protecting. And at a certain point, no matter how much effort we can put in as human beings, and anger is valuable, but no matter how much effort we put in, we lose. Loss happens, and we have to surrender. And so then the grief comes after we start to surrender. And I feel like what I did eventually connect with is a sense of anger and a sense of like injustice. Over the years, I've really started to like identify with the blues tradition, and I'm trying to like study it in a way. And that's not just musical, but it's like an attitude, and sometimes it's a philosophy, it's a way of walking. It's like, and especially just as far as like Black diasporic lineages, like it just really started to like, and then also it's like in its origins, the blues is country. It's something that comes out of like, it's like the first time that Black people in this country had like an iota of peace. I got a picture of my great grandmother and my great grandfather up here. And as I get older, I more and more I see those pictures and those people, and I'm more and more like I identify with them more and more, you know. And I also just think of the incredible just hell that a lot of my grandparents and great grandparents like just dealt with, and like how do they do it, and how are people doing it now? For me, as the years have gone by, it's like my heart is heavier. It's just heavier and heavier. It's like a piece of coal, and coal can like carry more fire. I can actually feel my heart in my chest. And I can like feel it doing things and like feeling people and situations. And like I can feel when I'm overextending it. I'm like, oh, you need to pull back, man. You're stressing your heart out. So it's like become an organ of perception. I'm awake to, I'm blinkingly awake. The part of the heartache, I think, is knowing what is possible and then what is. And sometimes the distance is just a hair, and still it's enough to be a wall. And then there's just a general kind of blueness and sorrow about all of that. And also at the same time, there's a joy in it, because if it's not for me, then someone.
I feel a bit like a grief imposter actually right now, being asked questions about grief, because it seems like there are so many other people who are more well suited to speak on this topic than I have. I feel lucky on one hand, and there's a little bit of just understanding that my time will most likely come where, if I live long enough, I am going to lose something, someone that is so near and dear to me. Yeah, I can, obviously, Bobby, my husband, my parents, my brother. One of the times that sort of recurs throughout my adult life, where I touch on some of that sadness, is often right before I fall asleep. And my heart often feels very content in those sort of last moments. And as I roll onto my side, often I have this flash of, all of this is going to end, and all of my time with Bobby is going to end. And have I enjoyed it enough? Have I lived it fully enough? Anything that I was having some heartache about, or just causing me concern from earlier in the day, just like, oh, I'm so lucky to even feel discomfort. Discomfort is fine because I'm alive right now. I also have a little bit of fear that, am I going to be prepared? Because I haven't had the type of sorrow that I've heard and read and seen other people experience. How will I navigate that? Is there a manual? What do I do? Because I feel like a little bit like I'm in the elementary school of sorrow. I am empathic to a certain extent, and I also have people in my life who are more empathic than I am. So when I think of, like, am I taking on other people's sorrow? I don't know, because I can see, like, I often just compare myself to people who are empathic to the point of can't not feel other people's sorrow, and that's not me. It takes work. It's something that I'm actually wanting to try to feel more, to connect more with other people's experience, especially Bobby's. I really feel that the best thing that I can do right now is to enjoy and take delight in the spaciousness that has been given in my life. Because I feel like when I meet someone who is living their sort of authentic selves and are happy with what their day-to-day life looks like, whether it's seems big or contained, it's just delightful to meet that type of person. And it really feels like that's the best thing that I could give to the world. And it might not be that my rings, like dropping a stone into the lake, that my rings reach very far, but it might, reach you and my immediate family. This work of just being present with somebody else is so valuable, to just taking time with another person, with my husband, with my parents, just being there fully, not racing off, which I feel like are the culture that I have been a part of my whole life is all about moving on as quickly as possible and getting to the next thing. And I'm not doing that right now. I actually have the time to stop. To me, the thing that would be the worst possible outcome of the whole pandemic is to just forget everything that has happened in the last 2.5 months and go back to anything the same. Just go back. I don't want to go back. I really don't want to go back. Yeah. I want to move forward. I want to take the way that my heart feels now and take that into, if I'm going to a full-time job again, I want to take that as much as I can into my full-time job. I guess I actually have grief thinking that there are people out there who aren't getting to experience the joy that I have right now.
Yeah, well, Fiona's here and we've been having a great morning and I just got my speech done and I was feeling so stressed, but now I'm okay. My mom had a favorite lettuce that she grew. Always thinking of others, she came up with the idea that I could just plant the lettuce seeds all over Friday Harbor, and when they would pop up, someone could pluck it and take it home for a salad. Look at this cool thing. It's too warm to wear today, but she had such great taste in clothes. When my mom first got sick, I went for a run near their house, and in a deserted area, I found 2 sunflowers growing. I saw these flowers as a symbol of hope, and I brought them up to her house, and she lived 4 years longer. Every time that I would visit her in the last few years, we would splurge and buy lots of flowers and seeds for her garden. My mom, undeterred by her condition, would hook up to her portable oxygen tank, and we would work side by side in her garden.
One other thing I remember about my dad that's maybe important to know, because I think the reason he laughed at you is because he always wanted us to be tough and strong. And when he was dying, I was there, and he died of congestive heart failure, and he knew he was dying. And I ran up to him, and I hugged him, and I held his hand. And he pulled away from me, and he stuck his finger out at me like he always did. And he said, "Don't you grieve for me. You hear me? Don't you grieve for me." And it was like an order. He says, you buck up. Don't you cry. It'd be silly. I'm dying. You be strong. So, can you imagine somebody saying that when they're dying?
Yeah.
Don't you grieve for me?
The light dances between the blades, all the pretty colors and shades. My moon shows her face, even at night, my peaceful place. Here I'm home, here I'm safe, in the meadow. Here I'm home, here I'm safe, in the meadow. There she is, woman in white, walking towards me, bringing the light. She tells me I have the answers. Look within and listen deeper. Here I lie in the meadow, chained and cuffed and hard.